Welcome back to the Collegiate Live, the official podcast of GRCC student publication, The Collegiate. In today's episode, stories of what it was like to be in attendance at last weekend's No King's Day protest, plus a conversation about what it means to be a journalist in this time of increased political tension. And finally, our sports writers, Jack Walker and Jared Tobiasen, talk soccer and GRCC's new mascot. If you have a topic you want covered on the show or a question you want answered by one of our hosts on air, send it our way by going to thecollegiatelive.com/podcast. Last weekend, Grand Rapids was one of many cities to host a No King's Day protest in response to President Trump's actions over the course of his most recent administration, and specifically a military parade that he had organized to celebrate his administration's accomplishments and his birthday. This comes right off the heels of the LA protests against ICE that had the National Guard called in and had military threatened to be brought in, and a lot of heightened rhetoric was being used in response to the federal government's relationship with states and with citizens. People on the ground at the No King's Day protest had a lot of thoughts about what that means and how they feel about it. And some of our staff shares the stories of what it was like to be there.
A little bit from the website that organized this event, the Action Network website. They had a statement about the No Kings protest, and I think it's a little bit important, so I will share that. No Kings is a national day of action and mass mobilization in response to increasing authoritarian excesses and corruption from Trump and his allies. We've watched as they've cracked down on free speech, detained people for their political views, threatened to deport American citizens, and defied the courts. They've done this all while continuing to serve and enrich their billionaire allies. So this event took place in Grand Rapids, and it was not the only city that did this protest. All over the U.S., states were protesting. People came out, and this happened the same day as Trump's military parade. NPR estimated the cost of this parade was about $25 to $45 million to hold. And I think a lot of people were just, frustrated with everything that's been going on. And then on top of this, he does the parade and for his 79th birthday as well, which some say was only a coincidence. So, Kate, do you want to tell us a little bit about some of the reasons that people were giving for being out at the event on Saturday?
Yeah, we had several reasons that day. There was from the immigration of people not getting their rights followed to the fact that the LGBTQ plus community was not seen enough to Army veterans all gathering there as well and saying that even though they have signed up and signed an oath to their country that what was happening is not lawful whatsoever, mentioned by Rich Jennings, who was one of the speakers at the event. And other than that, there was also about the executive orders, women's rights. There was several reasons for people to be there.
Mm-hmm. And I think what was interesting was even if, obviously there are thousands of people at this event, and even if they had, different ideas going into it, they all still were there for one reason. Mm-hmm. And we all agree that, the U.S. was founded off of a constitution, and, they were there to say that basically that's not what's happening right now. We're not following our democracy, and it's starting to feel a little bit like we're out of control from what people have said. I know that Rich Jennings, I just want to mention this one last thing. He did something very, I would say, unusual for a veteran to do. Do you want to talk about what that was when he was speaking during the event?
Yes, as a veteran, as he was doing a speech, near the end of his speech, he unhooked the flag on the American flag and turned it upside down, representing that there's a problem within our country according to the flag laws. And as a veteran, that is very, very strange for him to do, or just unusual to see, because they signed an oath to their country and they respect the flag. So to see that is just crazy coming from a veteran. Mm-hmm. But as he mentioned that it was hard for him to do, I can imagine all the veterans that were at that event could agree.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it is. And it's, it's a very rare thing to see. So which, makes this event even more impactful when you have a veteran, U.S. veteran, turning the flag upside down for, showing that there is really something, he believes that there's something wrong. So after this event, there was also a second event held on Saturday, I believe starting at 12. It was at Rosa Parks Circle. I know that a lot of people moved from the No Kings event. This event was called the Democracy Over Dictatorship. From the consensus that I get, a lot of what people talked about was a little bit similar at this event. Do you want to give us like a general overview of what you saw there?
Yes, I would say a lot of people. Definitely a lot of people. There were people covering the Rosa Parks Circle. There was an overflow of people just on the ends of it to the point where it was going towards the museum and also just covering the roads entirely. It was to the point where if you were trying to get through a crowd, it was only this much of space. And with that, with things that they mentioned, a couple of the same things that was mentioned at Abna Awan, which the executive orders and the women's rights and the LGBTQ plus community and the immigration disrespect. And honestly, with all that, it was with the speakers on stage. We had about 6 speakers, I'd say. And with all of them, it was really nice to see that they were nervous too, but they wanted to stand up for what they believed in. So it's just really nice to see.
Yeah. So there were 6 speakers at the Rosa Parks Circle event. Mm-hmm. Do you remember how many speakers there were at the Nabun Park?
I believe 7 or 8.
Okay. Yeah.
Rough estimate.
Okay. So, and then the amount of protesters compared to the park event, what was the difference there, would you say?
At Abna Awan, definitely, it was a bigger space, so it was hard to estimate. But I would say about in the thousands. It was massive. There were people everywhere, and there were still people on the sidewalk walking around. And there was people around the event closer to Rosa Parks that were still just standing there and holding up their signs. And then when we went over to the Rosa Parks one, it was already flooded. And we saw people coming in, and we got a bit worried. We're just like wondering if we would be able to fill all these people in that spot.
Yeah, seriously.
So with the fact that Rosa Parks was already full, and then they had people from Abna Awan coming over, it was just somewhere in the thousands. It was so many people.
Next, some of our staff have a conversation about what it means to be a journalist in this recent influx of political tension and heightened language towards the other side politically, and how our job as journalists is changing along with it.
We do have a story on the Collegiate Live, a review on a video game called Not for Broadcast, done by our editor-in-chief, Mark Stouffer III. And that's definitely a really cool story that listeners should go check out if they're more interested in media bias and the video game itself.
Yes, there's some very interesting parallels if you read the story or play the game to what's happening right now, especially with our current administration. There's been some hostility in being a journalist and reporting.
For sure. Yeah, I can't even. I mean, I know that NPR at one point we thought that it was being.
Yes, that and PBS, which I love PBS.
PBS too, really?
Yes, yeah, they were trying to, which PBS is for generally to like help educate kids that don't have like a lot of money and if you start taking that away, then it's like taking away like the power imbalance just becomes insane.
Yeah. The title is House Votes to Eliminate Federal Funding for Public Media Outlets. So
yeah,
different things like that. I mean, censoring things. I know people are getting really upset about, you know, all the censoring that's going on. And even in Los Angeles, we had a reporter. I mean, you talked about it a little bit if you want to go into it.
Yeah, she was recording footage of the protest for a news outlet, and she was shot right by a rubber bullet. Mm-hmm.
And the video literally shows, like, the officer pointing it at her and shooting her in the leg.
Yeah, well, she's, like, peacefully just,
like,
reporting,
she's
covering
obviously
footage.
A reporter.
Yes, yeah.
And it is just crazy. So, I mean, even for, like, news outlets like the Collegiate, it's very concerning when, you know, as a student organization, we don't even know in the future how journalism is going to look for us in real-world jobs. And going around the streets, it's not as safe as it used to be anymore. And, you know, a lot of people don't trust the media, which is really a shame.
Yes, yeah. I mean, even I know we talked on last episode or 2 episodes ago that I went to that Palestine protest and I got so many no's, or just like people that were like afraid to talk or like give their names. And like I totally respect that, but it's just like it's really sad and scary that because media is supposed to be for the people.
For sure.
So it's sad that it has become like a fear of people.
Yeah, for sure. Even we were just talking about this today, but we saw videos on Instagram of what looks like a news reporter, like reporting at like what's the word I want to use? Like a scene of destruction, like there was a tornado passing through, whatever, and a flooding, and she starts talking, and then she goes, "Just kidding, this is AI, I'm not real."
Oh, yeah.
And it looks so real, and it's so scary to me that this is, like, actually, like, I thought it was real for a second.
Yeah.
And, like, you think about older generations who have no clue, like, what we're getting into with AI. It's, like, it's just so scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know where to start with AI because, yeah, it is just so scary. Like, one of the quotes that I think about a lot is that we have been using AI to create art so that we can do our jobs.
Yeah.
But what AI should be used for is to do our jobs so we can create art.
Yeah. Yeah. Seriously. I mean, we don't even know how this AI is going to affect, jobs in the future. People will probably be losing jobs because AI can do things just so much faster. Whether it's reliable or not is, I don't know. But,
yeah.
Even for writing sources, AI is just so fast with things. You don't know what companies will do. Especially when, like, you can just create news segments out of thin air and just lie about information. Like, how are we supposed to know what's true and what's not?
I know, yeah, it's really scary. And I feel like in, like, a school setting, too, like, I don't know, I could talk to, like, almost anyone, and they could say that they have used ChatGPT for some assignment or another.
For sure.
Which is so sad because then we're losing critical thinking skills with that, too. Like,
yeah. We don't even know how that's going to impact, like, kids in the future. So many students and, younger kids are on social media, and they're getting their information from TikTok and Instagram, and it's like, how reliable are these sources? Like, you have, like, a TikToker, not a trained professional, sharing information, and then people are just like, oh, okay, that's true.
Yeah.
Just because someone made a video about it.
Yeah, and because it is your own profile, like, you could also lie. You could be like, I am a doctor, and this is what you should use.
Seriously, yeah.
And it's, because how do you even know what to trust anymore? Like, you can see, like, videos of, like, people, like, in the office, but you don't know. Mm-hmm. You don't know.
Yeah. It is a scary world out there for reporting. And I don't know how it's going to turn in the future. We're hoping that it will be for the better, where media can come to a place where people start to trust us again. And
I just think, it's really sad that, like, the jobs that should be the most trustworthy, like doctors, journalists, police officers, are just kind of like what people are terrified right now. Terrified of right now.
Yeah.
Like, if you can't trust your healthcare professional to give you actual advice instead of, like, what will make them the most money, that is a scary time. And if you can't go to the police with a problem that you have, instead they create a problem for you, that's scary. And if you can't tell the media to tell the people, that's scary.
I think one thing we can rely on, because we have a lot of scary stuff going on, is that, when there are protests and people believe in something, they will show up. And we saw that at the No Kings protest. Thousands of people were there. And, it kind of reminded me that, people, as much as we feel like we're alone with increasing media coverage and usage, we know that we're not, especially in times that are scary.
Yes, yeah. And just seeing, like, all the videos of the protests across the globe, across the country. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's so cool. And it just, like, it does, like, it helps you feel like you have a community, because we do.
For sure.
It's easy to forget it.
This is the sports segment of the Collegiate podcast. Today, I've got a little thing to talk about. I want to talk about U.S. soccer because they're kind of making me mad a little bit and frustrated. But first, a little update on the mascot situation for GRCC. They're narrowing down your guys' suggestions. they posted a little Instagram reel video on their Instagram. Grand Rapids Community College, I think, is what the Instagram is. Honestly, it was pretty funny. They did not make fun of the students. I don't want to say that, but I think those were some of the students' suggestions, which I thought were pretty funny. The construction worker was so funny.
As someone who's been affected by construction around this campus multiple times, I think that's a good representation. I'm all for the construction worker as our mascot.
That's really
personally.
Good.
They got my vote.
I want to know all the people that were in that video, because whoever that guy was that brought in the bag of potatoes, that was funny. I like that.
I like that one as well.
Anyways, so yeah, they're narrowing it down, and they stated hopefully at the beginning of fall or in fall, we'll start voting. They'll give us options to vote for, and then their plan, according to head of communications Lindsay Post, their goal is to introduce the new mascot in time for homecoming of the 2025 year. So we're moving. It's almost there.
Can't wait.
We almost got a new one.
Can't wait for the construction man as our mascot.
Yeah, right?
All right.
That'd be pretty good. All right, U.S. men's soccer.
Now, I know this is going to be a very personal
this is very personal
subject for you.
Anyone that knows me knows, soccer is in my blood. I've been playing it my entire life. And I'm a huge U.S. men's soccer fan. They recently have been making me angry. I'm not going to go on a big rant, but besides the win against Trinidad and Tobago,
I hope
they beat them 5-0. If you lose to them, you don't deserve to be playing soccer at all, honestly. But you lose to Panama in the CONCACAF 1-0, the semifinals. Then you lose to Canada in a third place match, 2-1. You
don't want to lose to Canada. Can't lose to your rivals like that.
You can't lose to our rivals like that. You lose to Turkey 2-1.
Right.
This is all back to back to back. And then the worst one of them all. You lose to Switzerland 4-0.
All 4 goals
scored in the first half.
Yeah. Switzerland's good, but you're at home. I know it's a friendly, but it's still you
don't lose to Switzerland.
It's a pride thing. You can't. That's too much.
Now we looked at the lineup earlier, and we noticed it was basically either our B or C team.
Right. But it's still there seems to be a lack of commitment almost.
Yeah, competitiveness.
From some of their key players on the team.
Yeah.
I get it's friendlies, but if you look at Turkey or Switzerland's lineups, their best players are all out there.
Yeah, because but we've got half of our starters are in Europe playing.
Right.
You had the Euro, the Nations.
There's the Nations League, and then there's that was countries, but there's the Club World Cup, which is happening in America. Mm-hmm. And I know Weston McKennie and Tim Weah are in that, but no one else I don't think is in the Club World Cup.
Where the heck is Pulisic?
So he played the whole year in Milan. And
he's just not playing.
Just not here. You could say the same for Anthony Robinson. Played the whole year at Fulham. He's nowhere to be seen. Neither of their clubs are doing anything right now, so they're free. They're off.
Yeah, they could play.
They could play. Tyler Adams, he at least was there for the first game against Turkey. He was there. At least he was there.
Yeah, he played the second half.
And he's dealt with a lot of injuries. But he showed up. And there are guys. If you look at the English team, if they have friendlies or whatever, there will be people who are benched, but they're there.
Yeah.
Pulisic, he's the face of the team, and he didn't show up for the friendlies. I don't know if that kind of gives off a bad look, I know there's been a lot of talk about that, but it's, So I don't know if you have any thoughts on Pulisic.
He'll be there. He'll be there for the World Cup.
Right. They're all going to be there for the World Cup, but you would like for them to build, because they have a new manager. They have a new manager. You would like for them to mesh.
Which I want to get to, because
we can get to that eventually.
Yeah. No. So they need to get that A team back and rolling again.
Right, because I don't know if
because the World Cup is next year.
Right. That's the thing. If this was 2022, still, and the World Cup was in 26, or 20,
You're good. You're fine.
You have time. But now it's they don't have many games before next year, They don't have a lot of time to mesh, and because I don't think they've played their A team with Pochettino yet, which is crazy. which is crazy.
No, like you need time to build that because you need time to build that chemistry with your coach.
Right.
Otherwise, you're not going to do anything.
Right.
Speaking of Coach Pochettino.
Listen,
I was excited about the hire back in March.
Listen, let me say this one time. As an Arsenal fan, I'll say this. You can take the man out of Spurs, but you can't take the Spurs out of the man, even though they won a trophy more recently than us. But he didn't win one there. So I'll just say that. Listen, I still thought it was a good hire when they made it, even though
I've been praying for a European coach to be hired as our
because let's face it, we don't produce coaches that well. We had Jesse Marsh get relegated with Leeds,
coaches, and he has a rough start. He has had a rough start.
Yeah,
he definitely has. And it's been not good losses. There's good losses against good teams.
Right. I mean, if they played France and they lost 2-1, no one would be really
that's a good
no one would
loss.
be complaining,
I mean, a loss is still a loss, don't get me wrong, but that's a good loss.
Yeah.
All of the losses have been bad losses, like teams we know we're good enough to beat.
Right, like you're good enough to beat Turkey,
1,000%.
And obviously, again, the B team, BC team, whatever you want to call it. But still, Dude, but the Switzerland loss, that one was unacceptable.
I made this point earlier. The US B team beat Mexico's A team.
Right.
And Mexico's a good squad.
Yep.
So, how do you not beat Turkey?
Yeah.
Or Switzerland?
I don't know.
Or Panama. Or Canada.
I
or
think,
any team prior to that.
Yeah. I think it's too early to, the Pochettino, fire him sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't
it's
think
way
you should
too
fire
early
him,
because we haven't seen him with the A team.
Yeah, we haven't seen him with the A team.
It's just not been too encouraging of a start,
Right, but also he needs to find a way to connect with the depth of the team.
Yep.
Because that's also very important.
Yep.
And the way it's looking right now, how they've been playing recently, it's not like he's getting to them.
So I just looked at their schedule. So they play Saudi Arabia tomorrow in the CONCACAF Gold Cup. Then they play Haiti in the CONCACAF Gold. You'd expect to win both.
I expect to win both.
And then since it's a tournament, you'll have more games come about.
Yep.
But after that, once that's done, they play South Korea in a friendly in September, and then Japan in a friendly 3 days later.
I also expect to win that one.
And then that's it. Unless I don't know if another friendly will be scheduled in that time. I don't know. Probably not.
That's it for the rest of the year?
That's it until the World Cup. So as of right now, you have 4 scheduled games. There will be more.
That worries me.
But there's not a lot of time.
That worries me.
Because this tournament's already started.
Yeah.
Pulisic, Robinson, whoever, any of the A-teamers, they're not going to be here for it. Which means right now it's looking like there's going to be 2 games before the World Cup for them to play against South Korea and Japan. And that's it. So
that worries me a lot.
The 26 World Cup, it's looking a little shaky. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because the team in 22, they at least made the round of 16.
Mm-hmm.
They had put up they ran into the Netherlands, very good team. They had a solid World Cup for a really young team. Now it's 4 years later. You expect them to be better.
Experience.
But the result could be worse. I wouldn't be shocked.
Not.
And it's an expanded tournament, more teams, more countries. I don't know. There's probably going to be some worse countries. Could be better. I don't know. Yeah. It's going to be interesting.
If the experience this World Cup is worse on your home turf than it was last year, and where's it, Qatar?
Qatar, yeah.
I think Pochettino should be fired.
It'll be a short tenure if they come up short. And most national managers don't last a long time. It's kind of, it's pretty common to recycle them every couple of years. But you would like for a guy to, if he stays there longer, it usually means you're doing something good.
Exactly.
But I would not be stunned if he's gone by next June because of the current state of the national team. So.
Yeah, they're not looking good.
No.
It's sad. I hope.
And who knows? In a year, something could change. I don't know. Yeah. But it seems unlikely at this.
We might get a new star player like that kid from Spain.
Right. Yamal, yeah. I and no one's really expecting the U.S. to win the World Cup. It's not reasonable. But it would be nice for them to make. I think the team has the capabilities of making the quarterfinal.
I want them to make
especially
a good
on your home. If they get group stage, that'd be pretty bad.
If they manage to make it to where they did last World Cup in Pochettino's first year, I'm happy with that one.
Right.
But
at this current,
anything less than that is
if they get group staged, because I mean, they got group stage at Copa. Obviously, I wasn't Pochettino, but
don't get me started if they get group staged.
Yeah, we'll see who's in.
Then you'll hear a real rant.
We'll see who's in their group to begin with. Who knows? Yeah. Who knows? But yeah. Any final thoughts on your team?
I swear, if they do not beat Saudi Arabia tomorrow on Thursday, I don't know what I'm just gonna.
What about Haiti? What about Haiti? You think they can?
Yeah, they better. They better. If they lose one, they gotta go 2-0. If they lose one of those games, I'm gonna I don't know. Know.
Yeah, it would not be.
Burn my soccer jersey. Something like that.
All right.
My U.S. soccer jersey.
All right.
It's really disappointing.
Yeah.
The Collegiate Live is the official podcast of GRCC student publication The Collegiate. For more information or to submit a question to be read on air, go to thecollegiatelive.com/podcast.